Contact us to avail the combo offer of General Studies and Public Administration optional with 20% discount.
Good morning everyone. So yes, today we will discuss important articles from 18th October, the Hindu newspaper. And before starting the lecture, as it is Monday, so we will have some Monday motivation. Look at this quote here. Knowing yourself is the beginning of all wisdom. Now this is said by Aristotle. Now in ethics paper we learn about Aristotle and virtue ethics given by him. Okay, so he talks about the wisdom, the highest virtue to build a strong character of the person. Now what he is saying in this statement, knowing yourself is the beginning of all wisdom. First of all, let me tell you that wisdom is not just getting the knowledge. Okay, so wisdom means that we are getting the knowledge, we are processing it, we are understanding it, and we are also applying it in a right manner whenever it is required. So that is called as, we will say that, wisdom. Okay, so knowledge plus understanding plus right application. Generally, we can alternatively use it as the self actualization or enlightenment. We learn about Buddha in history, so he got enlightenment. Basically you know about this, that he received the true knowledge, right? So basically wisdom according to Aristotle is that thing, and he says that achieving wisdom is the ultimate happiness that the person seeks in the life. Okay. Now, knowing yourself is the beginning of all wisdom. Why he is saying that? Knowing yourself, we generally do not know ourselves. We generally tend to, act as we gather the information, we deliver it whenever it is required. This is what we are doing. We are not reflecting upon it. Okay, we do not know what we are. Let's say when we will reflect, or we will say that whenever a situation is there, how do we react to that situation? What are our, let's say, emotional responses to particular circumstance or situation? So we need to know about ourselves, and that is start of all wisdom. Then only we will be able to understand and apply the knowledge, information that we are receiving, our senses that are receiving. Okay, so yes, in our day-to-day life itself, obviously when we grow up and we are gathering this information, we are trying to understand it, and many times what happens when we get new information, there is some kind of dissonance in our mind. From the previous understanding, we get some other kind of, let's say, information, and the new information, there are some clashes that are happening many a times, right? And in future, we come to understanding that no, this is right, this is wrong, right? So when we have wisdom in our life, ultimately we will be able to take the right decisions in our life, ethical and moral decisions in our life. Our conduct as a human being will be ethical conduct. This is what the Aristotle is saying here. Okay? Yes. Now we will discuss the important articles. First of all, we will have a review of all these articles. Okay, so I believe that you are having newspaper with you. So on first page, you can see that there are many landslides happening and flooding situation in some of the districts of Kerala, right? So you should be aware about this. You need to have follow up GS1 paper geography part. Okay, so there will be some articles in near future regarding analysis of this situation. First thing, you need to follow up on landslides in Western Ghats in Kerala. Second thing we need to understand here is that changes in the rainfall pattern. Now, we know that the torrential rainfall happens in Kerala in the first 2 months of monsoon time period. And now what we are witnessing is during the withdrawal of the monsoon time period, we are witnessing torrential rainfall. Okay, so this aspect we are going to discuss this in near future. There will be many articles on this, but first of all, right now have just follow up what is happening. Okay, so Idukki district or Kottayam district of Kerala, and there the landslips and the flooding situation is there. Okay, then the other news again that one migrant worker, two more migrant workers killed in Jammu and Kashmir. So basically the civilian killings of civilian is continued in Jammu and Kashmir. From time to time we are having follow up on this also, right? GS3 paper, militancy in Jammu and Kashmir. So that aspect you just know about that. In recent times there is increasing number of civilian killings by these militants, right? And to some extent those civilians are from minorities, okay, in that region. So there is some kind of fear environment. We discussed that in previous lecture, right? Okay. Now on page number 6 you can see that none of the article is relevant to our examination. All four are to some extent, some of them are political. That Turkish foreign policy completely not that much relevant to we can say our examination. On left hand side political, and one IPL on they have written this editorial, right? So that is not relevant. UPSC will not ask question on IPL, at least even in prelims. Okay, they asked on test ranking, right? So that was World Test Championship and Olympics, right? So they were significant event. For the first time Test Championship happened. India got in finals, right? So that's why they asked that particular question. Otherwise they will not ask about IPL and all. Yes, on page number 7, important articles, alarming hunger or statistical artifact. So we told earlier that there will be some analysis of this global hunger index, right? So we are going to understand this analysis here now. And on bottom side, powering the energy sector, right? So yes, reforms in power sector, the article having the context of this Electricity Amendment Bill 2020. So what are these reforms proposed under this amendment bill? And they are actually positive reforms. The writer is saying that they should be implemented or this bill should be enacted. So we will try to know about what are the challenges faced by power sector in India, and then we are going to discuss the reforms mentioned. Then there is data point on page number 7, and it talks about Henley Passport Index 2021. So as a miscellaneous aspect, we will try to know about India's ranking, how it dropped by 6 positions. So that can be asked, different indices and reports for prelims examination, India's ranking and all this. So we will try to know about that for prelims examination. Then on page number 8, India-US militaries match skills in Alaska. Basically it is India-US bilateral army exercise or military exercise here in Alaska, Yuddh Abhyas. Okay, so we will try to know more about India and US different armed forces, which are these exercises between these armed forces in addition to Yuddh Abhyas. Okay. On page number 10, the fact or data that is mentioned here towards that malnourishment, only 3.9% children malnourished in India. This is government data now. Okay. So as against to what 17% data is mentioned there about child stunting and all these things are mentioned. So government of India and its reports especially related to the monitoring that is done by Anganwadi workers at ground level. So according to that data, it says that only 3.9%. Okay, so you should be aware about data from both aspects, both sides. Now on page number 11, China tested nuclear capable hypersonic missile, says report. Okay, so yes, we should be aware about such developments in defense technology also, and this is important from security IR section also. So we will try to know about this. Then there is Russians land after first movie shoot in space. रशिया कुछ नया ही कर देता है. ठीक है, हमेशा है उसका. एंड इन स्पेस सेक्टर इट इज ऑलवेज कॉम्पिटिंग यूएस. ओके, सो वी नो हाउ रशिया सेंट इट्स फर्स्ट सैटेलाइट स्पुटनिक बिफोर यूएस itself, right? So that resulted into space race between US and Russia. To some extent now that space race is now trilateral. We can say China has also emerged the major player in space race. Okay, so yes, just you need to be aware that one of the director and two actors recently went to the space, and they filmed one particular part of that film maybe in the space. So Russia is first such country. Okay, up till now whatever the, you may have seen the movies like Gravity or Martian, right? So they are filmed on the earth surface itself. Okay, but the special effects and all these things were given, but now for the first time they filmed this movie in the space. Fine then. Okay, so we will discuss now these articles in detail. Yes, so first article on page number 7, recently Global Hunger Index 2021 was released. Okay, and yes, India's ranking, first of all you should be aware about India's ranking, 101 out of 116 countries. This is the ranking. Last year our ranking was 94th out of 107 countries. Okay, so yes, first of all we will try to know about the basics. Global Hunger Index. Okay, so yes, we know that this is released by the NGOs, right? So that Weltanschauung and Concern Worldwide, non-profit organizations, they release this every year. Now there are four components. There are four components. Which are these four components? Earlier we talked about this. This is what we say, that a revision is very important. Okay, this can be asked in prelims, right? Yes. First one, undernourishment. Second one, child stunting, and fourth is mortality, child mortality. These are the four components, right? So yes, yesterday or the day before yesterday we were talking about this, that on the data related to undernourishment, the concerns are there and India has challenged about that data in the undernourishment. In these three, largely India has some kind of positive improvement there. Okay, especially child mortality. Now we will try to know about this undernourishment. What are the issues here? Undernourishment or undernutrition. Okay, so yes, problematic component is undernutrition. Now why it is problematic? First of all, you should be aware that the data that is taken by this non-profit organizations to analyze that index or that component is the data from FAO. Okay, so Food and Agriculture Organization. Now there are problems regarding the data collected by FAO. Okay, so this is not in line with what India collects data on the ground level. Basically there are phone calls made by one particular agency and they ask some questions to some sample survey, some people, and then they decide on extrapolating that data to come at a conclusion. Okay, this is what they are doing here. Now we have to understand what are the problems with this undernutrition data. First thing we should understand that undernutrition, or which is reflected by low calorie intake. What is undernutrition? It is manifestation of low calorie intake. Now low calorie intake is not always related to lack of availability of food. How? Low calorie intake can be influenced by the higher standard of life, or we will say that availability of machines at home, or infrastructure outside like roads, railways, and yes, the good transport facilities are available, or we can say that low physical activity. Such kind of job is there where low physical activity is there. Now they require low calorie intake, right? Less physical exercise, and that's why low calorie intake. But this is mistakenly can be represented as undernourishment or undernutrition because of this indicator, low calorie intake. Are you getting this? The more physical work, the more calorie intake that body requires, right? So this is, we can say that there is some kind of problem with this indicator. Second thing, we should understand that there is variability in state level or regional level regarding this calorie intake. Now we know that in some of the southern states, they are advanced states, and obviously they do not have any kind of problem related to undernutrition or lack of food availability, right? Rather, they are having good infrastructure, or we can say that the quality of life has improved to some extent, right? And because of that, what we can say that this calorie intake is automatically low, especially in urban areas, right? However, what happens in some of the northern and eastern states, there the calorie intake is required more, demand is more. Why? Because there is physical work largely done by people, right? And because of that, there is more intake, calorie intake. Are you getting this? So this is how the variability at state level, this is not reflected in data, right? So there cannot be a common indicator for that at national level, right? The regional variability or the state level variability is not reflected. This is the problem. Now talking about the wasting and stunting. What is stunting and wasting concept? No. Okay, so yes, child stunting versus child wasting. This can be asked in prelims concept. So yes, stunting is basically low height to age ratio. Remember this. It is low height to age ratio, and this can happen due to chronic undernourishment or undernutrition. Chronic undernutrition, that is for long period of time. For long period of time, the food intake is very less. Okay, because of that this may happen. What is child wasting? This is low weight to height ratio. Low weight to height ratio. Okay, and this can happen to, we can say it is manifestation of acute undernutrition. Okay, so acute means for short period of time, severe lack of food intake. Okay, short period of time, acute. So that results into, we can say, child wasting. Okay, so overall we can say that child wasting is related to sudden loss of weight or inability of gaining weight by the child. Now we should understand that child stunting and child wasting are the indicators of overall malnourishment. Okay, and they are important. In India, child stunting at present it is around 17%. This is the major problem. Largest children population in India as compared to world, we can say that child stunting, right? So in this manner we have to understand what are the different measures being taken towards reducing this child stunting and wasting? Sorry? Yes. So the government is working from different aspects. PM Poshan is there. So midday meal is given here. Then ICDS scheme is there, right? So under ICDS, the pregnant women, lactating women, and the child in early years. So nutrition of that. Then third is related to TPDS, targeted public distribution system. Okay, so NAFS, National Food, NFSA, sorry, National Food Security Act 2013. Under that, there are allocations of food at subsidized rate to the families, so they can feed their children also, right? So ultimately, through these measures, we are trying to reduce. Then there are continuous monitoring of the children's weight. So Anganwadi workers at ground levels and ASHA workers, they are continuously working, right? So they administered the vaccines, right? So vaccination program Mission Indradhanush, that is being also implemented, right? All these are the measures being taken by the government towards reducing or tackling this, and the positive effects are visible in these components, right? You should be also aware here that the child wasting and stunting and mortality, they are different than as compared to undernutrition. They are different in a sense. In undernutrition, the larger component in that arriving at global hunger index, around 1/3 weightage is given to undernutrition. And why we are saying that other aspect here is that this is calculated for all population, while the remaining 3 components are calculated for under 5 years children. Okay, so undernutrition can be overall manifestation in the adults also, low calorie intake, and especially during the COVID-19 period last year, there has been, let's say, problems related to intake in the calorie, and we have seen how the migrant workers especially face the problems and the problems in rural India, right? So in this manner we should understand, and India's relatively better performance in one of the component, what is that? So to some extent India has positively developed in this component, okay, or the outcome is good here. In general, in Saharan countries or sub-Saharan countries, we can say in Africa, there the child stunting and child wasting or undernutrition largely result into child mortality. Naturally, this should result into child mortality, but this is exception for India. Why? This is because of good health services. Okay, so health services availability and affordability. So we are now providing a good quality, or we can say at least affordable healthcare services at rural areas, a rural level, right? So like primary healthcare centers are there, ASHA workers are also working, and to some extent the government has is, let's say, able to improve in the indicators like infant mortality rate, child mortality rate, and maternal mortality rate, MMR, right? So this is because of health services. So are you able to understand why we are exception to this particular 4th component? Because of health services. So you should be able to give both positives and negatives. Okay, so such kind of question can be attempted straightforward. How global hunger index is calculated? Okay, 4 components are there. Then data, from which reports they are taking data. The day before yesterday we talked about all 4 components. And examine India's performance in Global Hunger Index 2020. So examine, when we say examine, so we should be also talking about the positive. Okay, so like child mortality, so we are able to improve in that aspect, or the wasting and stunting, so we are moving, or we can say that the positive development is happening in that area, right? So examine, and then way forward also in we can say that some way forward should be mentioned here. In way forward, what you can mention, you talk about COVID-19 and how it has disrupted into the, let's say, be it in terms of ICDS or midday meal scheme or PM Poshan, this was not able to, let's say, the services were not continued during the pandemic for some, so these interruptions should not be there, right? So continuous availability of nutritious food will ensure a reduction in child wasting, child stunting. Okay, so such kind of way forward can be mentioned there, right? And you can talk about how the PM Poshan, we talked about the new measures undertaken, though it is rebranded, but new measures like monitoring and evaluation of the, let's say, child's nutrition is going to happen now. So such kind of measures can be mentioned. Fine. So yes, GS2 paper, health and governance, that is important. Powering the energy sector, yes. So yes, we can expect question in GS3 paper, economy part, energy, infrastructure, right? So syllabus points are there. Now the context here is Electricity Amendment Bill 2020. It is talking about reforms that are required in India's power sector. Now at present, what are the problems? Yes, what are the problems or challenges faced by this? State run DISCOMs, distribution companies, they are facing losses, and this is a major burden, we can say, on state resources, government resources. Second thing, right, aggregate transmission losses, we can say that. So basically it is wastage of energy, electricity, this is the problem. Third thing, then talk about theft, you should write in the end. Okay, you should write in the end. The problem here is that we can say weak regulation and management. Weak regulation and management. You can talk about that. Basically, why DISCOMs are making losses? Because of poor management. Okay, so efficient management nahi hai wahan pe. Because of that, the problem is happening. Then the problem of cross subsidy. This is actually resulting into, the lack of profit making enterprises, these DISCOMs. The problem is cross subsidy. We will talk about that, right? So these are the problems faced, and then also the problem is related to technological aspects. Especially we are still dependent on the traditional sector of, let's say, energy production or traditional fuels like coal is there, right? So we are trying to move towards the renewable energy sources, but the integration, this is becoming the problem. Integration of renewable energy sources and the smart grids that are required to improve the efficiency. So technological aspects, lack of technology, the advanced technology, that adoption is not there, right? So these are the areas, we can say, the challenges. Now what are the reforms proposed under this bill? This can be asked directly in the examination. Okay, some positive reforms that are mentioned. First of all, now what is cross subsidy? Cross subsidy is, the policy measure. Suppose we are talking about in this power sector. So Cross subsidy is given here by charging more tariff to the particular section and less tariff to the particular section. For example, let's say more tariff is charged to the industries, some of the industries, and less tariff to the agriculture sector, farmers, right. So we know that the power subsidization is given, or we can say subsidies are given to the farmers, electricity subsidy, or even to the domestic sector to some extent, like Delhi government gives let's say subsidies. So basically such kind of cross subsidization is done, and this is resulting into lack of incentives to the industrial sector, right. And to some extent whatever the subsidies that are given to the farmers sector or domestic sector, that is not efficient. Okay, so obviously all people, those who are rich also, they are also taking basically the subsidies there, benefits of that, right. So ultimately we will say that we have to end this cross subsidies. At present you should be aware that national electricity tariff policy says that there should not be more than 20% of this cross subsidy. There is a limit. Okay, and we are going to now end this 20% also in a stage wise or phase wise manner. Second thing, we should understand that while arriving at the tariff, these companies should not or not to include government subsidies. Okay, they are not supposed to include government subsidy. Rather, government subsidy will be given directly to the consumer through DBT. What is DBT? Direct benefit transfer, right? Now this is going to reduce the corruption, or we can say that wastage of resources, direct benefits to the consumer. Now we know that JAM Trinity is there, DBT. So this is going to benefit, only the intended person is going to receive the benefits, subsidies, other they have to pay the tariff, right. This is the positive reform. Then there will be, we can say that contract enforcement authority, central contract enforcement or electricity contract enforcement authority will be established, and this is going to be the sole body to enforce these contracts. Okay, so electricity purchase contracts are there, right, by DISCOMs to the producing companies. So the enforcement of these contracts by these companies, so this is going to be enforced by this authority. Sole authority will be there responsible for that. Then there will be some kind of regulatory reforms. Like for example, one legal member will be there in all state energy or electricity regulatory commissions. Okay. At the same time, there will be reforms in appellate body or appellate tribunal here in this electricity board, or we can say electricity or power sector. So basically the regulatory reforms are also proposed there, so as to reduce the litigation in this sector, right. And fifth, we can say that this power sector will be slowly opened to private players also. That means the state monopolies will be reduced here. At present, to some extent, state DISCOMs dominate, right? And we know that how they are efficient, right? They are inefficient rather, we will say, right? So when there will be open competition, no, among the public as well as private sector, that will reduce the tariff automatically. It will increase the efficiency, it will reduce the AT&C losses also in the power sector, right. So this reform is also good, and automatically the consumer will benefit, lower tariff prices. This is witnessed in Delhi. The article mentions about case study. When in Delhi, when private sectors are allowed, right? So from that, basically we are benefiting from that. Okay, the people will have facility to choose the, you know, from which particular company we are going to receive the services or electricity. At present, like telecom sector is there, right? So we choose ourselves that which particular broadband connection or telecom services that we want to have. So this is going to be implemented in power sector also in near future. So these are the reforms that are proposed under this particular bill. Now in addition to this, what are the other reforms that are? So other reforms you can mention like new advanced technologies adoption should be there to reduce the losses. For example, smart meters. Now this is implemented in many urban or metropolitan cities. Smart meters. What are smart meters? Yes. So smart meters will integrate with the grids, right? So whenever we are having let's say rooftop, let's say individual solar grid or production, what you can say panels. So basically we can sell also extra electricity into the grid, or simply smart let's say meters are those meters which does not require any kind of tampering or interference by the authorities. Earlier what used to happen, those employees, they will come, they will check the reading, then they will go back and the bill will be produced. Basically smart meters will automatically record and provide the data to the agencies. They are actually smart meters. There will be sensors in that. Okay. So this is going to help to reduce any kind of, you know, tampering with these meters. At present there is tampering with meters, you know, कम बिल आना चाहिए, ऐसा होता है ना कुछ, तो वो उसका कुछ तो स्पीड कम कर देते हैं या कुछ भी होता है उसमें, ठीक है. दिस इज वेरी कॉमन. इट इज रिजल्टिंग इनटू, यू नो, लॉस ऑफ रिसोर्सेस. नाउ स्मार्ट ग्रिड ऑल्सो. Now what is smart grid and its use? Smart grid basically reduces or manages different kind of demand and supply of electricity. Okay, smart grid will help to understand the load in different areas, and accordingly the supply management will be there. Are you understanding this? So, because there are some peak hours in the industrial areas, there are peak hours in the domestic areas. Smart grid will able to understand that and appropriately manage the electricity supply, right? So this is the importance of that. Second you can mention is that shift towards renewable energy. Of course we have commitment towards Paris Agreement, and slowly we should shift towards the renewable energy sources. This should be integrated into whatever the power policy that we have or electricity policy that we have, right? So yes, in this manner we should discuss about, we are actually expecting, this is the area in GSA paper where the question is not asked yet. Okay, power discoms, then Uday scheme was announced by the government few years back to support this, to overcome the situation of these state discoms. Some kind of support was given by the government, Uday scheme. Okay. Now, India-US military match skills in Alaska. There is bilateral exercise between armies of India and US. Yuddh Abhyas 2021. This is 17th edition of this bilateral exercise. This is going on in Alaska, US. Basically, this is to hone their skills for counter-terror operations in the mountainous terrain and cold climate conditions, right? Mountainous terrain and cold climate conditions. Now, previous version of this exercise was organized in Bikaner in February 2021, earlier this year. Okay, so maybe last year they have not conducted this because of COVID-19. So this was conducted in Bikaner, February 2021. Also, this is the only India-US service exercise continuing in bilateral format. Because in other areas, that is Navy and Air Force, it has become the trilateral and quadrilateral. How? We know about Malabar exercise. Malabar exercise started as a bilateral exercise in 1992, but in 2015 it became trilateral with the entry of Japan, and then last year 2020 Australia was also included. Now Quad countries, they are included here. So naval exercise, now it has become quadrilateral exercise, Malabar exercise. Also, Japan joined India-US bilateral Air Force exercise COPE India in 2018. So earlier it was bilateral, now it has become trilateral since 2018. COPE India, Air Force. Also, India-US holds tri-services exercise also. Tri-services exercise also. Okay, integrated manner. Now, China tested nuclear capable hypersonic missile, says report. Now, what is this hypersonic missile? Yes, so nuclear capable hypersonic missile, it is tested successfully by China. Now, this is unique development in terms of US China, the conflict that is going on, and it is going to, let's say, a kind of pose a kind of challenge before US military defense system, because the weapon could in theory fly over the South Pole. You know, this missile, this travels the complete globe and then hit the target. Okay, basically it missed the target by some distance, but in near future it may have may develop such kind of. Now only US, Russia and China were developing this hypersonic glide vehicles that are launched on the rockets and then orbit the earth on their own speed. Now, what is the uniqueness of this hypersonic missile? In India also there is hypersonic missile. What is the name? No, hypersonic. They are ballistic missiles. Okay, so hypersonic missile, BrahMos, jointly developed by, yes, India and Russia, right? So the difference between the ballistic missiles and these supersonic or hypersonic missiles, the difference is that the trajectory. Ballistic missiles follow the parabolic trajectory, while supersonic, they travel very near to the ground in a very fast speed. Okay, so yes, they are difficult to track because unlike ballistic missiles, they do not follow the fixed parabolic trajectory. So ballistic missiles are, easy to understand its path, but the path of these missiles, it is very difficult. Now that's why it is going to be a challenge before US. Okay, yes. Now Henley Passport Index, just briefly you should know about this Henley Passport Index. It is prepared or released by Henley and Partners, a London-based global citizenship and residence advisory firm. Okay, so India has slipped by 6 places from last year to 90. Earlier it was 84th rank last year and now it is 90th position. Okay, so India's passport holders allowed to travel visa free to 58 countries at present. Now, the index ranks passport of countries according to the number of destinations their holders can visit without prior visa. Without prior visa, that means they are allowed to have visa on arrival. Visa on arrival, okay, yes. So, the rankings are based on the analysis of data provided by International Air Transport Association. This can be asked in the options, right? So, International Air Transport Association. Now, this year's ranking, Japan and Singapore stood at the top of this year's list. Japan has been actually on the top since last 3 years, okay, in this ranking. So, you can understand that India's ranking is very low here. So, India's passport, that means there are restrictions for Indians to travel in other countries, okay. So you should be aware about in general about what is the situation in international relations regarding this travel, people to people contact and all these things. Okay, UPSC prelims MCQ, or we can say that practice prelims MCQ, not UPSC prelims MCQ rather. So what should be answer to this question? Hmm? 1, 2 and 3. Okay, so consider the following pairs of armed forces exercise between India and US. We have to find the correctly match. Okay, Yuddha Abhyas Army, this is correct. Just now the exercise is going on. Now, COPE India. Just now I have said COPE India is between the air forces, not tri-service. It is between the air forces of India, US and Japan, right? Malabar exercise, this is correct, right? Yes. Navy, so this is correct, this is incorrect. Tiger Triumph, now this is not only air force, rather it is tri-service. I deliberately did not mention there the name here, right? We wanted to ask such a MCQ. Okay, so remember this now, tri-service, Tiger Triumph. So Air Force, Army and Navy, they together have this exercise, India and US. This is very famous, okay, Tiger Triumph. So Yuddha Abhyas Army, then COPE India Air Forces, Malabar Navy and Tiger Triumph is tri-service. So what should be answer then? 1 and 3 only, right? Okay. Fine. So these are the important articles. Any question?
Sir, this Amendment Act of Electricity, sir, actually it is a Amendment Act of Gujarat.
Okay.
Yes, sir. But only difference is industrials are allowed to purchase power from different areas. Sir, suppose sir, Ahmedabad is getting from power from electric, but consumer are not selecting that local administrator will directly.
Okay.
We will get power.
Okay, local administration, they are actually deciding from which they are going to purchase. Okay. Yes, obviously that is progressive reform and they may have taken inspiration from some of the states. Yes, sure. Okay then, so let us stop. On Sunday's newspaper analysis, you will receive the recorded video. Also, those students who are watching this online, you should know that this is happening every day live session on YouTube. So for receiving the notification, you need to subscribe to YouTube channel and daily you will receive that, because many a times students may be watching this at later time and they may not be receiving this video nowadays. Largely this appears on YouTube channel of Lokman IAS in the evening, but to attend that in morning, you can attend that in a live session directly. Okay, fine, thank you.
Contact us to avail the combo offer of General Studies and Public Administration optional with 20% discount.